today's episode, I want to take a look at the cameras on the Xiaomi Mix 4 and see how they fare. Just to note, throughout this video, none of the photos or videos taken with the Xiaomi Mix 4 have been altered in any way. Otherwise, it is not a true review. With formalities out of the way, let's commence. Let's start off with the front-facing camera, which is underneath the display. And before I go further, in case you haven't seen it, I will tell you, you cannot see it with the naked eye. But let me see if I can find a good angle to show it to you. Let's see if I can see that. Right, there we go. You should see that there. And the only reason why you can see that is because there's a screen protector on the device. What I will say is there is an option in the settings where you can make the camera visible. So that's something you could look into if you're interested in. But it definitely won't improve the performance of the camera. The other thing to note is that the front-facing camera is a 20 megapixel camera, and obviously you can take photos and videos, and with videos you can shoot up to 1080p at 30 frames per second maximum, no more than that. So do bear that in mind. So now what I'm going to do is show you some photos and videos using the front-facing camera. Here's the footage using the 20 megapixel front-facing camera, otherwise known as the selfie camera. And of course, the interesting part about it is that it lies underneath the display of the device, which you cannot see with the naked eye. What I'm doing here is moving around so you can get different contrasts of different angles. So rather than stand in one position and show it to you, if I move around, you can judge the contrast for yourself. Again, I like the idea of this going in and out of the sun because you'll be able to gauge it better. The other thing to note is that you can record at a maximum of 1080p at 30 frames per second, which I think is a real shame. Xiaomi could have definitely offered 4K recording, especially for such a premium device. But this is what we have. Again, as I spin round, you can judge the quality for yourself and see whether it meets your expectation. Here's another footage using the front-facing camera. It's just coming up to 5:30 AM in the morning, and you could probably hear the birds tweeting around me. I've also got the volume at the maximum, so you can judge the quality of the footage and the sound. On the rear, you have the 108 megapixel wide camera. You also have the 13 megapixel ultra wide camera and an 8 megapixel 50 times periscope telephoto camera with 5 times optical zoom. Of course, you also have the dual LED flash. Going back to the optical zoom, this kicks in when you zoom in or out from 5 times zoom. You will notice this slight change in your footage. Just take a look at the following clip as an example. We're now going to delve further into the camera app. What I'm going to do is move it from its current portrait mode to landscape mode. Okay, so that should make for better viewing. Okay, let's get that close. Right, obviously we're on photo, and then on the left hand side here, you've got Hdr Artificial Intelligence, which is that yellow one there, means it's active. Top left here, tap on that. Obviously you've got aspect ratio, you've got timer, got some other options here. Just have a quick look at movie frames. So if you're budding moving director, you can have it filming in that mode. Again, everything you can do in landscape mode, you can also do in portrait mode. Okay, so that's pretty self-explanatory. And just here, obviously you can
make that for, say, ultra wide. And then this one, you can go up to 5 times zoom. And in fact, if you tap on it further, so you can see that you can go from 1 times zoom, 2 times zoom. Let's do that again. 1, 2, 5, 10, and 50 times zoom. Just take a look at the following photos to illustrate my point. Moving on to the video and pro video option. And before I go further, do want to highlight before I forget that when shooting video with this option, you can zoom up to 10 times. Whenever you shoot with the pro video, you can zoom up to 6 times. So do keep that in mind. Okay, moving on. You've got some other options here. Now, pay attention to this particular option here. This one, when I tap on it, it will bring the subject closer. That is the steady video. So look, it says that steady video option. What I will highlight is whenever you shoot with the steady video, you can only shoot up to a maximum of 1080p at 30 frames per second. And just to prove my point, so if I tap on here, you can see here, so it's 1080p at 30 frames per second. So there is no option to shoot 4K or anything else. But watch what happens when I disable it. Tap on here. Now you can see I can shoot 4K and up to 8K. So again, that's something to keep in mind. Right. Yep. So that's that. So let's move. In fact, let's go back here. Just to show you some other things. So you can see you can shoot up to, let's see, 8K. So 8K will be up to a maximum of 24 frames per second. And then as you see, the other options are pretty much self-explanatory. Okay, so that's fantastic. And again, this, remember, is using the rear camera, because with the front-facing camera, as I highlighted earlier, you can only shoot up to a maximum of 1080p at 30 frames per second. There is no option for 4K with the front-facing cameras. Anything above that will be applicable to the rear camera. Okay, so that's pretty much done that. Okay, let's move on to the Pro Video. And I do like this option because, as you can see, you can change the white balance, focal, shutter speed, ISO settings, and you also have your lens wide. So see that you have lens. Obviously this one to the left is ultra wide, and then obviously this one is tele 5 times zoom. So okay, so that's that option. What I do love as well is this histogram at the top here, and also I love this soundbar, so it's picking up the music around and hopefully my voice. So that's a really nice touch if that appeals to you. And again, if we just go into the settings, so with the Pro Video option, we can shoot up to 8K at 24 frames per second. One thing I do want to stress is whenever you shoot anything in 8K, always remember that it will create a large file. Personally, I really don't shoot in 8K. The maximum shoot is 4K. But yeah, most of the time I will shoot in 4K. What I'm going to do now is just show you a footage of an 8K video. Whenever you do choose to film in 8K, if you tap on here, you will see it just here. So the AI and then 8K. The other thing to bear in mind is when you're in the Pro video option, if you notice, this is the video. However, if I want to take a photo using the Pro video option, just on the bottom right here, I will tap on here. See that? And there you have it. And then you have the, again, the histogram there. So again, that's something to keep in mind. All right, let's move on. We'll see portrait. Now we go to the more tab, and in the more tab, we have some other options here. And some of these I'm going to go through. So here, obviously you've got night, you've got the 108 megapixel camera, you've got panorama, time lapse, supermoon, multicam, clone, etc. The other thing you can do whilst you're here is tap on this option here, and now you have them in bigger size fonts. Again, so that again, that's an option, but for this tutorial, I shall just have it back as it is. The other thing to know is whenever you want to take photos using the 108 megapixel camera, it is imperative that you come into the more section here and you will select it. And there you go. So there you go, 108 megapixel Ultra HD is on. And the other thing I want to bring to your attention is whenever you take photos using the 108 megapixel camera, the photo will always be 3x4 or 4x3. So if you look here, you'll see this. Now, watch what happens when I disable the 108 megapixel camera. So here you go. Now you see I have the full screen. So that's the difference between the two. Just to show you the difference between the regular camera and the 108 megapixel camera, take a look at the following two photos. One cool feature I like within this camera option is this multicam. And if I tap on it here, and there you go, so you've got multiple cameras, and so on here you have 0.5 times zoom, this one is 1 times zoom, this is 2 times zoom, this one is 5 times zoom, and this one is 10 times zoom, and this last one here obviously is the front camera, so you probably see my bonehead. Yeah, there I am. Right, having used this, what I can say is even though you have these 6 options, you can only ever use 2. You can use any, you can combine any 2 together. Just take a look at the following example to illustrate my point.
Here's another footage using the multicam, and in this case I've chosen the 2 times zoom and the 5 times zoom. Take a look at this panorama option. Again, I think it's a really cool feature and it does take some really nice footage. Just take a look at the following examples. Having tested the cameras on my Xiaomi Mix 4 on the right here, I notice whenever I'm in the photo mode, I tap on the top right here
And one option that was missing was the super macro option. On my left hand side, I have my Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro, which is a mid-range device. Again, I'm in the photo option, and whenever I tap on the top right here, and I'm sure you can see it says quite clearly there, super macro. So I was a little disappointed that it was not offered on the premium Xiaomi Mix 4. Anyway, to compensate, what I did is took some close-up photos with the Xiaomi Mix 4, which you will see in the upcoming clips. When it comes to shooting videos in 4K, take a look at the following footage. Another cool feature on this device within the camera app is the ability to clone. Obviously, that means more than one person, and I believe you can clone up to about 6 people. Right, so let's tap on it to see what we have. When you clone, you can choose whether you want to clone a photo, a video, or freeze frame. So you do have those 3 options. It does take a little while getting used to, but once you've mastered it, I think it's really good. Just take a look at the following.
Now let's take a look at more photos and videos taken with the Xiaomi Mix 4 and see what you think. And just so you know, they've all been taken with the rear facing camera.
things you can do within the camera app. For example, here with the camera carousel, you can change the colors of these fonts. To do so, just tap on the top right here, and it says here, customize, select colors, and let's choose another color. These are the options that you have here, these 5 colors. Let's go for something, let's go for this one here. That's what it looks like. Once you selected your color, so this is what it will look like. It's a preview. Tap on apply. If we go back, there you go. Look at that, you got a different color, and that'll apply for whichever one. And again, you can go in the settings, you can choose the feature layout. You've got some other options there. Let's cancel that for now. Check the camera modes, set option. I've gone through the colors, and when it comes to sound, you can choose any of these 4: default, retro, modern, or film. So again, that's just something to bear in mind. Whilst we're here, I thought I'd show you a few things within the camera app. So if you go into any of these options on the camera carousel, then tap on the top right here. You're going to select this option on the left that says settings. And as you can see, you've got more camera settings here, such as watermark. You can correct distortions in ultra wide shots, correct face distortions on group photos. You can track movements, especially if you have children or pets. Scroll up. In terms of picture quality, look at that. You can choose between high, standard, and low. So moving on, you can use the volume button for different functions. So you can use it for shutter countdown, zoom, and for the volume. And also, when you press and hold shutter button, you can use that to record a video, burst shoot, or to focus. So quite a bit here. I've gone over the customize before, and pretty much simple. And as you can see, this is a really good option here, show front camera, because obviously it is under the display. So you do have the option to have it showing. So it's pretty good. In terms of anti-banding, got a choice of auto, 60 Hz, 50 Hz, or to switch it off. So that's pretty good. Yeah. Okay. The other thing I want to show you, I think it's really important, is here. So let's go back. In fact, let's go back to the settings here. Then we go to display, and then we just scroll up a bit, and it's this option that says anti-flicker mode. Now, I want you to bear this in mind. Whenever the anti-flicker mode is off like this, so you could be recording and you get those flickering across the screen. To reduce it, you will need to select this option. And when you do, if you keep your eyes on here, this refresh rate here, that says 120 Hz. The anti-flicker mode will only work at 60 Hz. So let's give a demonstration. So that's what it looks like now. So, but if I want to select the bottom option, which says anti-flicker, if I tap on it like this, there you go. You get that message at the bottom that says anti-flicker mode will set screen refresh rate to 60 Hz. So once you're happy with that, select it. And then once I select it, this should disappear. There you go.
That was the cameras on the Xiaomi Mix 4, which does compete with other flagship cameras. It would have been nice to have 4K recording on the selfie camera. Also, the quality of the selfie camera could be improved because I did experience some photos lacking in detail. It was a shame there was no super macro option, especially for such a premium device. Despite these drawbacks, for me, overall, the cameras, especially the quality of the photos and videos, have been top notch. If you have any questions regarding the cameras on the Xiaomi Mix 4 or anything I have not covered, please do not hesitate to drop them in the comment section below, and I'll be more than happy to respond. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. My name is Shola. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in another episode.
Peace.